In the 26th century, a great war divided the world. The wealthy lived in the modern city of Zalem, while the rest lived on Earth in life-harming situations. The movie begins with Dr. Dyson looking through the scrapyard of Zalem's rubbish. He finds a young female cyborg. He brings it to his clinic, where he operates cyborgs. The next morning, the cyborg girl awakens and surveys her surroundings. She observes the doctor tending to his patients. He introduces himself, explaining that he discovered her at the Zalem dump site and repaired her body at his clinic. She thanks Dr. Dyson for repairing her. Dr. Dyson then asks her if she can recall her past life, but she declines, saying she can't even remember her name. Later in the day, the duo goes out for a walk and asks if he can name her. Afterward, he names her Alita, and they continue their exploration of the city. The doctor informs her they live in Iron City, while the one in the sky is known as Zalem. Only Zalem survived after the Great War, and the rest started to reside in Iron City. Upon asking if they can go to Zalem, the doctor tells her they cannot. After some time, as the doctor gets busy, Alita feeds a stray dog and comes across a wanted poster. However, she is so engrossed in the moment that the safety robots nearly crush her. Fortunately, a boy named Hugo saves her. Hugo is amazed by Alita's cyborg body, and the two immediately become friends. Upon Dr. Dyson's return, Hugo greets him, and then they go back home. Later that night, a woman is murdered, and Alita notices Dyson, who has returned home with an injured arm. However, she chooses to remain silent. The following day, a patient informs Dr. Dyson that female cyborgs are being hunted. Dr. Dyson hence warns Alita to be safe and not to go out after dark or go too far away from home. On her way out of the clinic, Alita sees Chiron, Dr. Dyson's wife, who stares back at her. The lady then enters the doctor's house. Chiron asks him who is Alita, and he tells her she is just a helper. Since her husband had given Alita the body he had created for his late daughter, Chiron got attracted to Alita. Chiron couldn't take the stress after her death, so she left Dyson and began working with the motorball robots. She came there to ask Dyson to go to Zalem with her, as she believed they could go there easily. Later on, Hugo meets Alita, and the duo starts playing with Hugo's friends. He then takes her to a shop and buys her chocolate, which becomes her favorite food. When Alita returns home, Dyson warns her to be cautious and offers Alita some food, but she expresses a desire to have some chocolates. The next day, Alita goes out with Hugo again, and he takes her to his favorite spot. Hugo then expresses his dream of visiting Zalem and asks her about her dreams. Alita tells her that he can't think of any since he has no memory at all. He thinks she should remember Zalem as Dyson spotted her where Zalem's rubbish is discarded. Later at night, Alita notices Dyson leaving in secrecy and starts following him. She intervenes to prevent Dyson from attacking someone, but discovers he's not evil, but a hunter-warrior for bad people. Alita and the doctor fight off an evil cyborg woman and her companions. Despite the doctor's advice to leave, Alita returns and fights the enemies, recalling hearing someone call her 99. She defeats them all, but their leader Gruishka escapes after being attacked by Alita. The doctor takes Alita to collect the bounty for the cyborgs killed and explains that Alita's body was created for her daughter. She was killed by his patients, and this led to him becoming a hunter to finish bad guys and support this clinic. Meanwhile, Chiron talks to Vector, the man in charge of the Iron Town, about her wish to go to Zalem. He tells her if she keeps helping him create more deadly cyborgs, he will move her to Zalem. Gruishka also reaches and asks for Chiron's help telling her about Alita. Vector eavesdrops on their conversation. He is not alone though, as his superior Nova, the supreme leader of Zalem, also hears and seizes control of Vector's body, giving them orders to murder Alita and bring her to him. Hugo and Alita later go to a motorball game. Hugo tells her that the competition winner is sent to Zalem every few years, and everyone wants to go there. The man who is in charge of the entire show, Vector, is then introduced to her by him. Alita sees Chiron talking about their work with Vector while standing close to him. One of the cyborgs competing in the race piques Chiron's interest. Hugo invites Alita out on a date the following day and leaves. It turns out that Hugo steals and sells cyborg parts for Vector. He is the one also tasked with stealing some weaponry from a cyborg that Chiron wishes to send to Gruishka. The next day, Hugo takes Alita and his friends to see an abandoned alien ship. Hugo tells Alita that the United Republic of Mars owned this once. He also adds that no one could access it because of the years-old technology as well as its immersion in water. However, Alita jumps into the water and opens it. There she finds a suit and takes it to Dyson. He tells her that this was the armor of a berserker warrior from the URM army who used to fight 3 centuries ago in the Great War. Alita requests Dyson to make her wear this suit, but the doctor refuses. Alita is aware that fighting more frequently will aid in retaining memories of her past, but the doctor is unable to permit her to do so out of concern for her safety. Alita disregards his advice and registers up as a hunter before heading to the tavern where all the hunters assemble. She then asks for their help in defeating Gruishka since the system protects her. Alita is ignored by everyone, and Zepan, one of the hunters, taunts her. A fight ensues and Alita easily beats him. Afterward, she challenges everyone to fight her or team with her in fighting against Gruishka. Alita ends up beating most of them who try to fight her. However, Dr. Dyson breaks in and stops the fight by saying he won't give any free repairs if they do not stop. Soon Gruishka makes an appearance in an upgraded state. He triggers Alita, who ends up following him underground. He then easily defeats her due to the upgrade, but she still punctures his eye. The fight starts to get serious, and when he is close enough to kill her, Dr. Dyson and his friends appear, which causes Gruishka to run away. Afterward, Dyson brings Alita to the clinic and puts her in her real body. Later, Alita wakes up in her old form and is over the moon since this body was made specifically for fighters like her. Sometime later, Alita meets Hugo and they both kiss for the first time. Nova again takes over Vector's body and gives Chiron another chance to murder Alita. Simultaneously, Vector believes that he cannot put his trust in the robot and decides to make a plan of his own. He then extends an invitation to Hugo to join him in his office, prompting him to recall the commitment he made to send Hugo to Zalem. He also asks about Alita. The following morning, as Hugo awakens, Alita observes him through his window. They discuss their aspirations, and when Hugo mentions requiring an additional 90,000 points to ascend to Zalem, Alita suggests offering him her heart, recognizing its considerable value. Despite her generous proposal, Hugo declines, proposing an alternative idea. He encourages Alita to pursue a career as a professional motorball player, envisioning that their shared success in the sport will enable them to journey together. Alita agrees, but only under the condition that Hugo assumes the role of her coach. Alita goes to a competition where Vector has hired dangerous cyborgs to attack her. He put a big prize on her head, and anyone who beats her gets the reward. Dr. Dyson realizes these opponents aren't regular players but dangerous fighters. He warns Alita that it's all a trick. Now, Alita has to stay alive while trying to win the game. Meanwhile, Hugo decides to quit being a thief and shares this decision with his friends. However, things take a dangerous turn when Zepan attacks Hugo. Accusing him of murder, Zepan aims to kill Hugo and claim the bounty. In distress, Hugo contacts Alita, who is also facing a life-threatening situation. Despite her struggles, Alita abandons the fight and rushes to Hugo's aid. Upon reaching his location, Zepan reveals the truth about Hugo's alleged crime and urges Alita to punish him. However, Alita finds herself unable to carry out Zepan's demand to harm Hugo. Zepan injures Hugo, but Alita intervenes and takes him away, assuring everyone that she will complete the bounty. Chiron, Alita's mother, moved by the resemblance between Alita and her daughter, decides to help them. So when Vector inquires, she informs him that they managed to escape. Chiron aids Alita and Hugo in their getaway, and Alita provides evidence of Hugo's demise. However, Zipan interferes, attempting to snatch the bounty. In response, Alita cuts his face. Later, transforms Hugo into a cyborg. Subsequently, Vector discovers Chiron's betrayal, and when she expresses her desire to no longer ascend to Zalem, he murders her. Dr. Dyson then discloses to Alita that he was born and raised in Zalem. He adds that only a motorball champion from Iron City holds the key to transcending to Zalem. After bidding farewell to Hugo, Alita makes her way to Vector's office. Despite encountering security robots, she successfully dismantles them and reaches Vector. Gruishka attempts to attack Alita, but she easily overpowers him. Amid the battle, memories resurface of her team being killed by the defense ring. Seeking answers, Alita demands Nova to communicate with her and kills Vector. Dr. Dyson urgently contacts Alita, informing her that officials have placed a bounty on Hugo. He shares that Hugo is attempting to reach Zalem by climbing the transport wires. Alita, well aware of the dangers posed by the defense ring, rushes to intervene. Despite her desperate attempts to dissuade him, Hugo ignores her warnings and is caught by the blades. Alita, helpless, witnesses his collapse and eventual demise. Fast forward a few months, and the movie concludes with Alita competing in the Motorball Championship. The crowd enthusiastically cheers for her as she glances towards the sky, where Nova observes her from above, marking the poignant end of the story.